In this week's brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters in Project Cars 2, we're taking a ride in the Batmobile as the 600 brake horsepower Panoz Esperante GTR-1 takes on our fearsome Azure Coast hill climb course. But can this mighty V8 monster spring a shock or two? Let's go find out. What's going on, guys? My name's Batilio and welcome back to Project Cars 2 and a brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters. And this week's challenger, as you can see on screen, is this, the Panoz Esperante GTR-1. And the reason I went for this car this week is, well, I was going to do a subscriber suggestion, but unbeknownst to myself, I'd actually done the ones that I had noted down, which was the BMW V12 LM and the Aston Martin Vulcan. So apologies for the people who suggested those cars and I didn't mention you. Apologies. Even now, I can't remember who they are because I haven't got them in front of me. Oh, I'm so crap. But yeah, so I decided to go for this car this week purely because it's nicknamed the Batmobile. And who doesn't want to drive the Batmobile? If you don't want to drive the Batmobile, I'm going to have you sectioned. I will personally have it done. So there we go. But let's kick the episode off as we always do by taking a look at some of the stats. So, produced in 1998 is of course an American car. It falls into the GT1 category. It's a rear-wheel drive, mid-engined, 6-speed sequential gearbox bolted to a V8 engine producing 600 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 comes up in just under 3.5 seconds. It will go all the way to 195 miles an hour, providing you have a stretch of road long enough. The weight is coming in at just over 2,100 pounds. It has no aids or anything like that, no ABS, stability or traction controls, none of that. Control difficulty is 2 and cornering speed is 2. So yeah, fairly impressive all around. One of the things I didn't know before I started reading is this is actually a hybrid. It has a hybrid engine which works pretty much in the same way as most Formula 1 cars do, in that it takes the excess energy you would normally lose under braking and it puts it into the batteries. So in an endurance racing scenario, the idea was if the electric engine is assisting to drive the rear wheels along with the petrol engine will use less fuel. And if you're using less fuel, you can go longer, you can make fewer pit stops, and eventually, hopefully, go on and win whatever endurance race you're going to be doing. Because pit stops are the bane of any endurance racer. I think we all know that. So, yeah, good idea, fantastic idea. But it just didn't quite get the application right. The additional batteries where they were storing the energy, it just made it a bit too heavy, and that's why it couldn't compete. It can compete fairly well with the Porsche GT1. It had some pretty good runs against that, but we all know that the absolute king and the boss of the GT1 category was the Mercedes-Benz CLK-LM, and it just couldn't compete with that additional weight. So yeah. In terms of practice and setup, though, there wasn't a whole lot to do. I'll admit, there wasn't a whole lot to do with this thing. It is very well set up from the get-go. I did have to fiddle around with the braking just to, sort of wind the pressure down and move the bias around a little bit, because it was a little bit snappy under braking at times. I opened up the differential because there was a little hint of understeer, but that fixed that straight away. I can't remember who suggested it, but someone a couple of weeks ago suggested it, and I've been using it in so many different games and it's been so helpful, so thank you for that. But yeah, so like I said, there wasn't a whole lot to do. I didn't even have to fiddle around with the tyre pressures. That was just, it's so well set up and so straightforward to drive just out of the box. It really is one of my favourites straight off the bat, along with the Ferrari F50 GT, which we did a few months back actually, which was absolutely fantastic and joyous to drive as well. So yeah, as you would imagine though, there were some accidents, but these come from different places. Normally it's the magic roundabout, but this one had a couple of boo-boos in other places. So this is coming out of Stickman Squatch. You see we had a little wobble there coming up the hill. We get on the power and it just has a little slide. Tried to catch it and it spits me out across the road into that. And then this one comes from the Great Ocean Highway. So coming through this very fast left-hand up, just a little twitch. The rear just gets away from me just slightly, and by the time I managed to correct it, we're in a barrier basically and rolling across the grass. So that's pretty much the end of that run there. But like I said, honestly, this is one of the easier cars to drive. It didn't require a whole lot. Like I said, a whole lot of setup work. or a whole lot of effort to drive. You could really push this thing. It's very, very forgiving. So if you are new to sim racing, or you're new to cars, Project Cars 2, and you're not really great at setup, this would probably be a good place to start if you want to move up into some of the more powerful cars, because it is very well set up from the get-go. But yeah, let's take a look at some leaderboards now. So as we know, the best time we have on the current GT leaderboards in Project Cars 2 is from the McLaren F1 GTR from a few weeks ago with a 6:29.309 there, the fastest McLaren F1 GTR longtail time on PS4 in the world, that we know of at least. I did look for some representative times from the for a Panoz Esperante from someone else, but I went through 30 pages and I couldn't find a single one. So yeah, we know how the leaderboards work. If you set a time in a particular category, anything that falls below that time does not get a place on the leaderboard. So not to say that no one has actually tried it on this track, it's just their time may be slower than their best time. So there we go. In terms of our leaderboards, again, I think it's got to be aiming for the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail, because it falls into the same GT1 category, and same for the Ferrari F50 GT, which is sitting in 8th place as well. So it's got to be aiming for around that to equal or better if it can. So yeah, fairly straightforward for this one. I don't think it's going to really trouble many of the other ones above it, but we never know. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens right now. So let's head down to the track and see how the Panoz Esperante GTR-1 got on its best run. Here we go then, guys. Panoz Esperante GTR-1 on our Azure Coast Hill Climb course. As you come down to the first corner booty curve, it is just going to cling exactly where I want it to get through there. And it's got a pretty good change of direction, as we're going to see coming through the centre S's as well now. Very, very good, very pointy, very stable at the rear as well. Coming down to the cruise line corner, though, we don't get the braking quite right. We miss our turning just a little bit, but it's not a huge drama. And into trash can corner, absolutely on the button. And away we go again, down the hill towards the magic roundabout. And this thing really does gather speed. There's 140, approaching 150. And down about 110 miles an hour, we're going over the bump. We took quite a bit of curve on the inside there, so this thing is very, very stable. And into the braking zone now for Stickman Squats, and up the hill, just have to be a little bit gentle. There's a little crest there, you saw we had to put a little bit of counter lock on there just to stop the rear getting away from us. Collect some cones on the outside, and onto the happy highway, and a chance to just have a little bit of a breather from a very involved first part of the run. So yeah, I think the one mistake I made in setup is I didn't adjust the gear ratios, the final drive enough, because you see we're in 5th now, we're just getting into 6th. So I think I could have got a bit shorter on the old ratios there, just to maybe give us a bit more speed down the front end. But yeah, over the crest now and into the braking zone, and then down the hill towards Stonewall Corner. And again, very good through here, very pointy. Get it into 3rd gear again, just get the nose in, just being very gentle with it. It's such a smooth car to drive, it really is. And through here, this catches out so many cars, but this thing was absolutely superb through here. Very, very good. No hints of the rear getting away, no understeer at all. And now we're into Ice Cream Cove. And again, very good, very bumpy. A lot of cars can get tripped up through here, suffer from understeer, but this thing was absolutely planted. And again, through here, this is just an absolutely superb car to drive. It really is an absolute monster in the corners. As we come now down Cobra Pass to these winding corners, get it down into 2nd gear as we head down towards the slowest corner on the course, James May Corner, named after Captain Slow, of course. Get it down to 1st gear, down to nearly 25 miles an hour. We get a little bit of a snap at the rear there. We have to counter steer. That delays us getting on the power, but we're away again. Down towards the back end of sector number 1, and I'll give you some clues. We're doing very well at this point. We are doing very, very well right now. But into the braking zone as we come uphill and over these crests into Silver Spoon Village. Maybe tag the wall just a little bit on the inside. Quite surprised if we did, because it normally invalidates the run. But through McDanger Curve now, have to be a little bit careful, because as you can see from these crests, the front end, it does have the ability to go fully upright if you're not careful. So that's that you do have to take into account as we come through the follow through there and into Fraggle Rock Corner. Get the nose in again, on the power nice and early. A little bit of grass on the outside, but it's not a drama. And away we go through this long right-hander, multi-apexed right-handed curve, akin to what you'd find at the Turkish Grand Prix. Get it down though, into second gear again for bridge corner. And again, probably could have taken a bit more speed, maybe got on the go pedal a bit earlier there. We didn't quite take that and get there exactly as I wanted, and again we missed the apex a little bit there, but there is a nasty bump on the inside which can really unsettle the car, so I don't think it was a huge amount of time lost there, if any. We go down into this, another slow first-handed corner, first gear corner, sorry, and on the power again. And it was this middle sector where this thing really seemed to come alive. It was very, very good through these first and second gear corners. Again, get the inside right wheel on the grass just to help you round a little bit, and the same through this corner as well. Just tag it a little bit so you can get through, and onto the camel straight now over the first hump, and then over the second hump. Probably could have got it up into fourth gear there, but I knew I'd be coming straight back down as we come over here into the first of the Mirage corners, and then into Mirage number 2 now. Again, so pointy, just absolutely superb, and onto the pogo stick straight now. And again, this is another area where you have to be somewhat careful, because like I said just there, you see it's ready to go. It's ready to go. If you go full flat out and you don't lift, then you could be pitching yourself into a very violent accident if you're not being careful. So but we come through here. This was another tricky corner, because as soon as you get over that crest, the wheels come off, so you lose all steering. So if you take it too quickly, you're heading for that wall and you're not going to be able to stop you. By the time the front wheels hit the ground, you've pretty much gone through the wall. So there we go. But onto the Great Ocean Highway now, on the back end of sector number 2 now. And again, we are still doing very, very well. Again, get the nose in nice and early, get on the power again, down the pretty much flat out this left and right handers, and then coming down to this very, very fast right hander where we had the accidents in practice. And again, you see it just about ready to snap on us just there. It's a good job we're having to go the other way for the next corner, because that sort of lined it up again and got us where we wanted to be. But down through here, as we approach what will be the entrance of Deception, again, very, very good through here. Probably could have got the power a little bit earlier, but you don't want to be too far off to the left, because you're going to have to do a bit of work to get back over to open up Deception here, which has caught out many a car, I'm sure. But up through here onto sweeps now. And again, very, very good. Again, this is where a lot of cars excel, because it's just these lovely sort of banked, cambered, beautiful flowing corners where you can take so much speed through them. We get down to second gear, maybe a little bit too early for that one, but we don't have to change for this one here. Again, just being a bit gentle on the power, because you can lose the rear. It can get a little bit bumpy on the exit there, but we make it through without any drama. And again, through here, really start to push now, because this again, it can catch out understeery cars, but this thing doesn't have a hint of it. This is just absolutely planted through those corners. Like I said, it's easily one of the best cars I've driven in this series, and easily, you know, definitely up there with the Ferrari F50 GT that we did a few months ago, and that this thing is directly competing against. But as we come through the last corner and across the line, it's going to be a time of 6 minutes 23.856. So not only has it beaten the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail, it has bent it over its knee, took its belt off, and gone to town on it. It is absolutely walloped it by nearest makes no difference 6 seconds. I think it's 5.5 seconds all told. So that's staggering. That I wasn't expecting that at all. This car is absolutely amazing. It really is. I don't know whether it just fits into the way I like to drive cars or the way I like to have cars set up better than the McLaren did, but that is a fantastic time. And as you can see now, I mean, on the full-blown leaderboards, it takes us all the way up to 4th. So we've beaten a fair few Mercedes CLK-LMs there as well. And we're into the top 5 for the GT time. So that's a brilliant time. And on our full Hill Climb Monsters leaderboard, it has gone to 6th. So it's not only beaten the McLaren and the Ferrari, but it's also beaten the Jaguar XJR9 LM, which again is another superb car to drive. But it's beaten it by nearly 3 seconds. This thing is absolutely staggering. I don't know why there isn't more time, why there aren't more times on the board. I don't know whether it's down to the fact that it was a DLC car. I think it came out as one of the day one DLCs, depending on what edition of the game you bought, or people just have this idea that it's not going to be very good. But it is absolutely staggering. It really is. To beat the McLaren F1 GTR is good, but to beat it by nearly 6 seconds is incredible. It really is. So Well, there we go. I don't know what else to say, guys. We've got a new time on the leaderboards for the game, and we've got a new time in 6th place on our Hill Climb Monsters leaderboards as well. The Panoz Esperante GTR-1 with a staggering 623.856. Absolutely fantastic car to drive. I highly recommend it. But there we go, guys. So I think that's pretty much the end of today's episode. Apologies it's coming out a little bit later. I did have some stuff that came up and just put everything back, so apologies for that. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching. So if you have enjoyed this video, you'd like to see more sim racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, especially if you are a Dirt Rally 2.0 player, because tomorrow we're going to have a double upload, because I'm going to be checking out the new the two new DLC cars, the Ford Focus, the Ford Focus 07, the 07 Ford Focus, and the 08 Subaru Impreza. So if you want to see those, make sure you go and hit that notification button when you subscribe, so you get notifications for when they'll be up and ready to watch. Also, make sure you check me out on social media. Links are in the description: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook especially, because I tend to put some just random racing clips. It could be full-blown stages in Dirt Rally or hot laps in Formula 1 2018. I'll be doing another one of those for the Spanish Grand Prix, which is coming up next weekend as well. So make sure you go and follow me there. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching once again. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace!